Geoff, thanks for joining us. England have wrapped up a terrific victory here at Lord's to go 1-0 up in this series. Just give us your views of how well they've played over the last 5 days.
Well, they've outplayed India. I don't think there's any doubt about that. This was a very good test match pitch. It was good for batting. If you batted well, had good technique, it was okay. There was nothing alarming about it. It played pretty true. But there was just enough there for the bowlers. It swung for most of the time, a little bit in the air, quite a bit at times. Went a little bit off the seam, turned a little bit, but nothing alarmingly. And even on the 5th day, it was still a very good pitch. So bowlers had to work hard because, quite frankly, it was good weather. After the first day of rain, we've had some, what for England is quite warm, hot weather. So it's quite hard work a day out there. I thought England's performance on the last day, actually bowling India out, taking 9 wickets, I thought was a 9 out of 10 effort. I thought they bowled really well. I thought they pitched the ball up more than normal, and that's what got most of the wickets.
If we just focus on the bowling for a moment, as that's what we've seen today, as you say, to get 20 wickets on this pitch was a terrific effort. Do you think that's further evidence of how close England are to becoming the best test team in the world?
I've never had any doubts in my mind that they'll beat India this series. It's a question how many they'll beat them by. And the reason I say that is because they're a very good unit. They've been together a long time. They are confident, they are good, and they actually have a better bowling unit. In England you need seamers. It's not like India where you need 2 spinners. You can get away with 1 spinner in England. You need 3 quality seamers. And I've always felt, even when the Indian seamers are all fit and all bowling well, England's seamers are better than India's, and our reserve seamers are better than India's.
The one seamer who had the most question marks over his name coming into this game was Stuart Broad. He's had a terrific match. Do you think he's answered all his critics in this game?
Well, you say answered his critics. His critics were being fair. He bowled rubbish against Sri Lanka. He was lucky to keep his spot by the 3rd test. He's had no line, no length, he's been wayward, and he's had no pace. So what else can you say? If anybody gave him criticism, it was constructive, it wasn't personal, and it was accurate. Now what has happened, he's gone away and been asked to play and bowl quite a lot for his county, Nottinghamshire. He has done that, he got a 5 wickets. The selectors watched him, they said he's bowling better, where a lot of us who didn't see him said, well, really on balance, Bresnan bowled great in the one-dayers. Probably Bresnan should have played. But they stuck with Broad, and he's rewarded them and himself by bowling quicker, straighter, fuller. He's been my man of the match because he made runs when it mattered with Pryor. I know first innings he got out for naught, but second innings he made runs when England were in trouble, and he's bowled superbly both innings.
A word on the other 2 as well. James Anderson's picked up 5 wickets on the final day, and Chris Tremlett bowled consistently throughout the game. It's a fearsome looking attack now that England have, isn't it?
I wouldn't say fearsome. It's not quite Michael Holding and Michael Marshall, but I would say it's a pretty good attack. Of what's around in world cricket, it's as good as what's around. Probably only the South Africans can match it. Next year England plays South Africa. That'll be an even tougher test, because I think Dale Steyn and Moni Morkel are probably 2 of the best opening bowlers in the world. But we have 3 here. We have Onions, he's getting fit again and bowling. So yeah, we've got Finn waiting in the wings, a young kid. So England are quite blessed at the moment with 5 decent bowlers, pretty decent.
If we go back and have a look at how England set up this test match, it was first innings runs. They got through a very tough, shortened first day, and it was a superb innings from Kevin Pietersen that laid the foundations. How impressed were you with how he built that double century?
Yeah, he had to work very hard, which I've said, when you first come in, you have to work for your runs, because there's just enough swing and a little bit of seam to interest the good seam bowlers. And so you have to work hard, and he had to. You know, he didn't struggle, but he had to work really hard for his runs till he was about 80. And then he started to increase his tempo, his range of shots, until the end. He was taking the Indian bowling by the scruff of the neck and doing what he wanted, just belting it around. But really, you know, there was one incident that changed the course of this game. When Dhoni put a leg slip in, and he was caught off Praveen Kumar for 49 by Rahul Dravid, the umpires had a clear, uninterrupted view, and they went to the television replay, the 3rd umpire. And when you do that, nearly always, not always, but nearly always, if it's a close one, there's a doubt as to whether the catch is fair, because television is 2-dimensional, and that's the one thing it cannot show accurately. The eye is 3-dimensional. And they gave him not out when most of us ex-players said it was out. That's not Kevin's fault. He's entitled to stand and wait for the umpire. And by the time he turned round, he may not have seen whether Dravid took the catch cleanly or not. So either way, he's entitled to stand. But the umpire's chickened out. And it may, or it may not, but it may have changed the game because he made another 150 runs. That's a huge lot of runs. And this is the point why most of us keep telling India you should accept the DRS system, because one decision can change the course of a match. You have a lot of very talented cricketers out there on both sides, and if one of them gets away with something unfairly because of a poor decision by the umpires, when television could have helped you change it, it can change the course of a match, winning and losing. And that for me was the one incident that may have changed the course of this match.
The other batsman to excel in both innings was Matt Pryor. He's developing quite a reputation now in international cricket. What did you make of his 2 innings?
Played superbly. For the last 2 years, you know, he's actually kept wicket superbly. He's batted well in test matches. I don't think he's a one-day cricketer. He played in some of the one-days. I don't think he is. But as a test match player, he rivals Dhoni for the best wicket-keeper batsman in the world. He plays well under pressure. Got 300s at Lords, he got 100 on debut at Lords. I mean, the guy can play, and his wicket keeping has improved tremendously. I can't remember when he last missed anything. Now that's what you say about keepers. It's not what they take, it's what they miss.
Well, England are now 1-0 up. How do you see the next test starting on Friday at Trent Bridge panning out? Have England got momentum that's going to be hard to stop now?
If the pitch does something for the bowlers, the seamers, England will beat you again. They'll beat India. But it could be a flat pitch. Then it's hard because India have some iconic batsmen. But if it does something, that's the key. As long as the pitch swings, seams or something, I fancy England again. Because, without Zahir Khan, I always thought the bowling, Indian bowling was a bit ordinary. But without Zahir, it has less bite.
Do you think it needs an improved performance from MS Dhoni to lift the team? He seems slightly off the pace as a captain and a batsman in this game.
Well, yes, I'm not going to get into that because I like him. I think he's done well for India. I think the one place you have to have a vast improvement, India, is in the ground fielding. It was appalling, it was shocking, it was sloppy at times. And I don't care, when you field well, it lifts everybody in the team. It certainly lifts the bowlers. And if you've got an attack which is not quite as good as England, you do need lift from the fielders. But there's a lot of stuff there that if I was coach, I wouldn't settle for.
Geoff, that's great. Thanks very much, and we'll see how this series develops in a few days' time in Nottingham.
Thank you.